Okay, in this video we're going to talk about installation. Now, a lot of customers will ask me whether or not we install, and unfortunately we're a national distributor. We ship these units all around the country and in some cases the world, so we just don't have the installers out there to do the job for you in your location. The good news is any heating and air conditioning guy or electrician or even some general contractors are more than capable of doing this. We generally recommend a heating and air guy or an electrician because depending upon the power requirements of these units, you may or may not have the appropriate power already up in your ceiling. And if not, you're going to want to have somebody who can run the cables, the lines, and the electrical outlets for you. So that being said, the first aspect of this whole thing is the electrical end. And depending upon the unit, there are specs on our site which tells you the required amount of amps per unit. But they're anywhere from like 2.6 to 9.2 amps each. Okay, and essentially even our most powerful units at 9.2 amps each, you're probably going to want to have them on their own individual breakers, or if you're going to tie up two of them onto one breaker, you're going to have a 25 to 30 amp breaker. They do spike at startup, but you probably don't want to push two of these onto a 20 amp breaker. Anyway, the electrical, you're just going to want to make sure you've got the appropriate outlets and power necessary based on the number of machines that you've got. The second item you need to consider is how to hang the units. Okay, we provide industrial hanging cable with every unit that we sell, and most of the units come with eye hooks on the machines pre-installed, or on the flush mount units you kind of have to connect them onto the machine once you fit the unit up in the grid. But for the most part, the simplest way of dealing with these installations is if you don't have a couple of guys to lift the units up into place, one of those scissor jacks are great because you can actually set the unit on top of it and either electronically jack it up and it will lift it up into place, and once it's up into place you can attach the eye bolts or the cables to the eye bolts and you'll be done. It's a nice easy process. It's not terribly difficult, and again, any contractor should be able to help you out with that. When it comes to installation, we already talked about the airflow that you want to create with that staggered layout and alternating airflow. The two other things that relate to airflow that you really have to watch out for are ceiling mounted heating and air conditioning vents as well as ceiling fans. And the reason I tell you that is, let's say you've got, here's your room, and you've got, let's say 4 heating and air conditioning vents in the space. If you mount your smoke eater intake right here, well, guess what's going to happen? These heating and air conditioning vents are going to create enough airflow and turbulence at the ceiling level that as the smoke is trying to be drawn in, these units are blowing the smoke away. So this approach is not going to work for you. Ideally, you're going to want to find a location that is not affected by these heating and air conditioning vents. Same thing holds true for ceiling fans. If you're trying to mount a smoke eater right next to a ceiling fan and that ceiling fan has enough airflow to push the smoke away, you're going to be scratching your head wondering why this thing's not working so well. The best way to find out whether or not you've got a problem is, as you identify the target location for this smoke eater, climb a ladder, hold a Kleenex or a tissue up in the space about a foot or two below where you want to mount the intake of your smoke eater, and if that Kleenex is getting blown around a lot, you're going to really have to either reconsider a different location or perhaps turn off a ceiling fan, remove the ceiling fans altogether, or if you've got a problem with the heating and air conditioning vent, you can get diffusers that will take the air and blow it a different direction. Many of them blow in all 4 directions, or they're round and they blow completely in a circle. But you can get them where they're blacked out on one side and they only blow in one direction. So in that case, if your intake of the smoke eater is here and you're blowing in different directions, you can really control the airflow in and around those heating and air conditioning vents and get a better result. But you absolutely have to factor that in, because if you are too close to a heating and air vent or a ceiling fan, you're not going to get the results you want because the smoke's never going to get to that machine. So I hope that makes sense. We're talking electrical, hanging the unit, and then just proper placement considering those things. If you can get those couple of things right, along with the alternating airflow, you're really going to have a great result. So I hope that makes sense, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.